Good evening, fellow councillors, members of the public and members of the press. I'd like to welcome you tonight for the annual town meeting. The first item is, well, the annual town meeting. Members of the public as electors of the parish are invited to attend the above annual town meeting, which will consider the following items of business. 1. Apologies. None to date. Item 2. Town Council's 2013-14 annual report, which is enclosed.
Thank you, Chair. I commend the report to the annual town meeting. It's a report of the activities of the Town Council over the last 12 months and includes an abbreviated accounts which show total spending to the 31st of March 2014 at 169,000 and total income up to 214,000, given that there was grant and project expenditure as detailed there as well. So the report highlights those things which were carried out during the year, the highlights being, I would suggest, the opening of the new golf, the council's community events programme, culminating in the events at Christmas last year, and also some of the changes that were introduced into the council's governance arrangements, including its new committee system and new ways of working. Thank you, Chair.
Right, everybody. Can we approve this annual report? Propose that we approve?
It's not necessary.
Not necessary.
Okay, then.
We've got that chat, we've got that.
Right, that's written. Item 3, general discussion. Open to anyone present at the meeting to raise any matters of relevance. There has been no advance notice of any issues at this stage. Yes. Has anybody? Yes.
Yes, if anybody doesn't know me, I'm Elizabeth Goff, and I just want to say, looking through what is in this report for the last year, I think the council deserves our deepest thanks, our commiserations on some bad publicity, but it's a pity that the people who complain don't read things like this and don't come to the meetings. So, from me personally, thank you all very much for the time you dedicate to the council, to the town, for the benefit of us all.
Thank you. Thank you. Has anybody else got any? Mr. Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Having served in the council, I'm not about to raise any issues of which I'm aware are in the process of being dealt with or the work in progress, etc. But rather raise an issue that's cropped up very recently, which is very important to the town, and I hope certainly would draw a response from the town council. It concerns the Bowes Museum. The Bowes Museum management body have advised that they are in the throes of drawing up with the charity commissioners a new charitable scheme to cover the Bowes Museum. They further advised that they've learned from their legal people that the present scheme, which dates from 1956 and was linked to the period when Durham County Council administered the museum, has some shortcomings in that it doesn't properly reflect the wishes of Josephine Bowes as expressed in her will and codicil, and which was the primary basis for the Bowes Museum, and the subsequent items arising from John Bowes' will. They are seeking to rectify that. They are seeking to cover the security issue in the Bowes Museum Park by covering arrangements for closure of the park, and they are seeking also to incorporate in the scheme the status of the park itself. The issues that arise is that, quite rightly, they are proposing to have a protected section in the scheme providing protection to the John and Josephine Bowes collection, which previously didn't exist. They are proposing to provide themselves scope to close the Bowes Museum to counteract antisocial behaviour, etc., which is fair enough, but it needs to be more specific so as to maintain the legitimate public access without at the same time putting the trustees in a position where they can't harness the services of the constabulary, who have previously said that whilst it's in an open mode, they can't act unless they actually see someone misbehaving whenever they have an officer in that vicinity, hence the private security firm being brought in. And the third issue is the status of the park itself. Josephine Bowes was very clear in her will and codicil that both the museum and the park were to be connected to the Barnard Castle populace. Very clear about that. Hence the reason for the Bowes Museum consulting the local community. Secondly, in terms of the park, it was very clear that she sought to establish a green park, and in fact most of the development followed her wishes, except that which was undertaken while the county council were administering, and they were administering during a period which was known as being because of the impact of what they call the brutalist system. Even Stuart Timmis, when talking to us in the not distant past, offered apologies as a planning officer that there was this period when heritage, the environment, etc. were not protected by either the planning process or national legislation or whatever, and that has given rise into some of the developments that occurred in the museum park. So I have responded, picking up, having done research when we were talking to the Bowes Museum about a supposed master plan. We subsequently were informed the master plan wasn't happening because they were suffering project fatigue, but what they were doing was some works which we've now seen completed, which do represent an improvement. And thanks to the one lady gardener, the park has been somewhat redeemed, but only thanks to her stalwart efforts in keeping it in reasonable order, but in circumstances where she has far more work, or has had far more work, than one person can reasonably be expected to cope with. So I'm hoping, or requesting, that the Town Council, and I'm happy to sit down with the Town Clerk, run through the issues on the basis of the research I've done, to make representation while the opportunity is there, to ensure that the requisite protections are built into the new scheme, and that the park is protected as a green park, and turned gradually as resources allow into the showplace it should be. It should be a prime facility for the townspeople and as a visitor attraction. So I'm requesting that the Town Council follow that up. It's just recently come onto the scene. I have had experience with the Witham Trust, endless work there with the Charity Commission and colleagues to deal with the initial charity structure and then the incorporated status, and that's been a benefit in going through the museum proposals. Hence my offer to sit down with Mr. King, if you agree to it, to help me put something together for the council to act on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is that acceptable to you, Chair?
Mr. Mayor, as you know, I'm not a resident of Barnard,
Yes.
so if you don't mind me speaking, I just think that the Town Council ought to invite somebody from the Bowes Museum to come and talk to us at a meeting.
The Town Council was invited
Yes, that is
to go and
correct.
see all of this.
Well, I said to come. Yeah.
But we were invited.
We've already
to
been
the
invited.
council,
We were there.
and only I came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can still ask them to come to a meeting.
I think they're quite prepared to do that.
They will do.
So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it was any issue.
It's certainly possible for the Town Council. Bear in mind, this meeting isn't binding in that respect. The Town Council doesn't need at this meeting to decide to do that, but I'm sure a proposal could be brought forward to the Town Council with the chairman of the next municipal year to consider it on that basis.
Anybody else got any questions? Councillor Green.
I'm sure we're all aware from recent press about the ambulance service and the proposal to reduce our paramedics essentially by 50%. A lot of this seems to have been going through behind sort of closed doors sort of thing. The information just sort of seeping through now. I would like council and the residents of the area to call for, well, to back me in my calls for some public meetings so that the public can be listened to and the public can put their point of view across on this issue. Basically, the 50% cuts, I'm sure Tony will be able to keep me around. The plan is basically to take half of our paramedics away from us and basically put them in Easington.
We'll spread them around where
yeah. I have requested some public meetings. It was late on last week when I requested them, so I'm still waiting for answers. But I would appreciate any support from this council. And I would also, I don't know if Tony can help, a number of years ago, a lot of money was raised by the residents of Teesdale to buy equipment for the ambulances. It was basically when the ambulance service weren't willing to put money into our ambulances, so we raised a lot of money to buy equipment and then to train the ambulance crew up to the level of being paramedics. A lot of the money was raised by local people, businesses, and a lot of sizable donations were received from a variety of organisations, including Blacksaw and the Crow family, who run the Meat Fun Fair. It's been hard to pin down what happened with all of that money. From what I can understand, there was some money left over. However, nobody now seems to be able to answer where that money went. And that was money raised by people of Teesdale. And that, I have a suspicion that it may well have been swallowed up by the North East Ambulance Service, even though how it got to them I don't know, because it wasn't in their bank account.
If you want to respond to that, first of all, there'll be no changes to the contractual agreement that's been held by NHS and NIAS in the Dales areas, that include Weedale and Teesdale, until public consultation has actually taken place. Right? They can't go ahead and just change, because that's written into the contract. At the moment, there are things going on where we're challenging this reduction, because some of the actual ambulance areas have refused to accept ECWs. Right? So at the moment, things are still ongoing, and once we've grounded it to a level where we know that it's safe for Teesdale and Weardale to operate under, then we'll decide to call a public meeting if NIAS decide that they're going to do the changes. But they can't implement them changes under the contract until, I think a lot of it at the moment is saber rattling. Right? They're testing the water, but the monitoring groups keeping their eye on it.
What is your feeling about what their eventual goals are? Because in the past when they've gone to public consultation, things like that, they've sort of aimed at something, they've said something, but what they really want is something slightly less, so then it makes it feel that they've appeased us, when in reality it's what they wanted anyway.
When you had the first consultations, you didn't have the monitoring group and the strength it has at the moment. No, we are now part of the CCG, Bidding Commission, and we are actually sponsored by the government. So therefore, any changes that need to be done, we have to be notified of it. We have been notified of the contract, and we are in consultations at the moment with the contract officers from NIAS and from the NHS England. Okay? I can assure you that no changes will be made from what I know about and the monitoring group know about without public consultation, because it is written in the contract, there will be no changes without public consultation. So if they go down that road, I think there will be problems, because it's contractual. Regarding the ambulance equipment and the funding, I wasn't aware of it, but I will make inquiries to see if I can find out if there was any money. I know there was some money was spent a few years ago on enhancing the St John's Chapel station.
It shouldn't go, that money shouldn't go to St John's.
No, I'm saying
It was
the only
detailed.
expenditure I know that has been from the public was Weardale, where they paid for the modernisation of the St John's ambulance. That's the only one that I know about. But I will actually look into that one for you and see if I can track down and find out why.
May I comment?
Yes, certainly.
I'm a little bit disappointed that Councillor Cook hasn't brought this back to our council before this time, because it seems a little bit critical and people's lives are at risk at the end of the day. I've had a little look at the minutes and all the Councillor Cook's done is asked for some expenses for his bank carriages. So I'm a little bit worried that there's actually not the representation there from yourself. That but I don't want a response from you because this is a town meeting, not from Barnard Castle. So I'm not looking for a response, I'm just making a comment that I've looked at the minutes. I'm a little bit disappointed we find out this at a very late stage, or what I see as a late stage, and I am extremely worried about the level of provision of ambulances that's going on in Teesdale. Because to my mind, what they're doing now is threatening this course of action, and then they're going to backtrack a little bit, and we're going to come in the middle somewhere, and people are going to feel like we've saved something, and we've saved nothing. We need to sustain this, or even make it better than what it is already, and no backtrack will do.
Councillor Marshall.
Right, there's certain things that I cannot relate to anybody until they've actually gone through and been passed by NIAS and the NHS board. There are certain things that's ongoing I can't divulge them. You mentioned about expenses or something? I don't get any expenses, I don't get paid or anything. I'm a volunteer.
I know you are, but the only minutes that I can find your name against in the minutes is you asking for expenses to pay for your printing. Check the minutes, people check the minutes.
Something to do with the ambulances.
Exactly. Nothing to do with the ambulances. And I won't look down the ambulances.
I'm sorry, but there are certain things that...
Listen, I'm not asking for a response from you. This is a town meeting. This is Barnard Castle Town. You're not a town resident. I'm just making that comment.
Thank you for that. Councillor Marshall.
First of all, I'd like to thank Tony Cook for chasing up my daughter's case. As personal experience of the ambulance service, I'm fully agreeing with Councillor Deacon and Councillor Robinson that if we don't have a public meeting ASAP, lives are going to be lost. My daughter nearly lost her life 2 weeks ago because of an ambulance taking up, well, best part of an hour. I'll be conservative, but the best part of an hour to get to it. The ambulance drivers were stationed from Crook or around that area. They had to use their sat-nav to find my home. Because they couldn't find my home and the sat-nav, obviously people don't have their postcodes on the front doors, they couldn't find our home because they didn't know where we were. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit emotional here, but it needs to be addressed immediately or somebody is going to die.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anybody else got any?
Yeah, I'd just like to put it to the town that, and reading our annual report, it alludes to it, the honorary freeman scheme. I'll do this anyway through the right channels, but I'd like to nominate somebody, and that's Mr. Joe Swingman, who was reported in the Echo, I like that man. Which reported in the fine paper, the Teesdale Mercury. About Mr. Swinbank's donation to this town, which makes up the bulk of our public car parking. But he also was a well-respected and renowned businessman in the town for many years. And I think this council would do well to acknowledge a man of that stature through this scheme. And I'd like to formally nominate him for it. And I'm not exactly, I haven't got the policy from the club yet, so I'm not sure how I'd do that. But I thought I might just all be able to do it right now. No. Right, so that's
Nice try. You're learning.
just as a general discussion, I'm sure that we could, that people might want to add to my comments in commending Mr Swinburne and what he's done for this town.
Thank you for that.
The Honorary Freeman scheme is administered by the Resources Committee of the Town Council. If the town meeting were to take a vote, so those registered electors here were to vote, then that vote or that decision would be passed on to the Town Council for consideration. Similarly, with the issue of a public meeting on the ambulance service issue, that too could be taken to a vote. Those votes aren't binding, but they could be taken into consideration by the Town Council going forwards. Because it's a town meeting, there's no formal procedure for nominating or seconding proposals. Merely, if anyone wishes to propose that, then a vote should be taken.
I would like to propose that the town council, that we request the town council to call for a public meeting with the Care Commission Group and North East Ambulance Service.
Right, everybody, can we identify those who are eligible electors first and then have those in favour? So,
Should we stand up?
it would be helpful if those who are eligible to vote could stand.
That includes you. It's a town meeting. It's a town meeting.
You can.
You live in Barnard.
You can.
Oh, sorry.
You're in Ireland.
I wasn't demonstrating.
Those in favour?
Those in favour?
Standing.
Mr. Barnard?
Can you vote?
Yeah. Unanimous.
You know, right.
All right.
What's the second one?
Well, yes, I propose that we use the honorary Freeman scheme to acknowledge Mr Joe Swinburne and his contribution to this town.
Can I just say that if the rest of the people are happy with that, people who knew Mr Swinburne, I'll go along with it.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
And also, on his birthday, he was in my absence one day. Joe's birthday today is 96. So I went over and said, happy birthday, Joe. I hope I'm as fit as you when I'm 69. And he said, yeah, I'm not 69, I'm 96.
So obviously you hit the brandy then.
No, it's defected.
Yes.
So he got it.
Councillor Bell, sorry I didn't...
Thank you, Mayor. No, but I've been just trying to get something out of this Blackberry thing here. Just to go back to the ambulances and just to sort of come to Tony's defence a little bit. Tony sits on the ambulance monitoring group, as indeed I do, as a representative of health scrutiny. And we have been vociferous in that group and on health scrutiny in defending the ambulance interests of the Dale. The reason, I suspect, why there hasn't been a lot fed back here is that there hasn't been any meetings since, I think, when was the last one? March, April. And there was a meeting scheduled for the 5th of June. That's been put back to the 19th of June of this group. So I'll certainly be writing in tonight and telling them of the concern expressed by this town meeting. But I think it's correct to say that there isn't a firm proposal on the table yet. What has happened is that an idea has been floated. That's gone down the NIAS route, who asked their staff what do they think about it. Clearly that's got them out into the public domain. So at the moment, you haven't got a firm proposal to be consulted on. So I suspect that the response that you'll get is, yes, we'd love to have a public meeting as and when we propose anything along this line. So you can call it kite flying, you can call it doing things behind closed doors, you can call it what you like, but that's certainly, I suppose, what you've got is an indication of NIAS's thoughts and what they would like to do, but there's certainly no firm proposal on anybody's table yet. Because as Tony says, it has to go to the ambulance monitoring group, it has to go to health scrutiny at the county council. So I guess you're right and you're wrong in the sense that yes, there's clearly thoughts going on about this, but no, there isn't yet a firm proposal that you can actually fight against. So I'm sure there will be a public meeting as to when, we'll see what the response is when you write in. I just hope that's helpful clarification.
Thank you for that, Councillor Barnard. Councillor Watson.
Just to follow up on the ambulance situation.
Sorry, my apologies.
One key issue which is exacerbating service stems from the fact that you will remember in the not too distant past the balloon went up in respect of patients being placed on trolleys and waiting in corridors in the reception area, A&E departments, hospitals around the country. The national politicians were embarrassed and determined to create what they call was an instant fix. They fixed it all right, because what we got was the termination of poor souls on trolleys in the hospital corridors and the introduction of ambulance storage facilities, whereby unless the patient is at death's door and needing A&E treatment instantaneously or intensive care instantaneously, having been seen, the patient is returned to the ambulance, placed in the care of the ambulance crew, who sit there until the bed manager decides whether he or she can locate a bed, which may not necessarily be in the correct ward, i.e. an orthopaedic patient may end up in a gynecological ward until such time as there is an availability of a legitimate orthopaedic bed, or a cardiac patient may end up in a ward which deals with gastrointestinal issues, depending on how the bed vacancies arise. It's as bad as that. And the problem is, the bed manager may not even find a bed in that particular hospital, in which case the ambulance crew are diverted to another hospital identified as being able to take that patient. Net result, ambulance crews and vehicles are tied up for incredible periods of time outside the hospital. The patient isn't registered as being in the care of the hospital at that time. Oh no, they're off the statistics, so that the hospital waiting corridor statistic vanishes. The patient is recorded as being in the hands of the ambulance authority and appears in a different set of statistics. All very nice for the politicians going out to an election in a year's time and being able to present a particular image. The point that we must pick up, or the council must pick up if it chooses to follow up this situation, is the holistic scenario in which the day was particularly vulnerable by virtue of distance to the hospital in the first place, which is then added on to the wait time in the ambulance while a bed is being found. And beyond that, we must take into account that the ambulance service over a period of time has severely restricted the basis on which an ambulance will be allocated. Consequently, there are patients who are far from well, waiting transfer home, who have to be transported in a private car belonging to a relative. I've had that experience, bringing my sister home after surgery, and she just did scrape into the front passenger seat. I wasn't allowed any help from the hospital. They stopped at the entrance to the actual hospital building. It was then my responsibility to convey her to the car and get her in without damage to the surgery she previously had. That's just one explanation. The other is, when she was in hospital again and came to the release time, far from well, to be transferred to the Richardson Hospital, she had to wait all day from 6 o'clock in the morning in a chair and then be transported from the hospital at night on a scenic drive around by Bishop Auckland and various other stops to deliver other patients before arriving absolutely shattered at the Richardson Hospital. This is the real world, and it means that we must look at the ambulance service holistically and start tackling it. And we're grateful certainly to Councillor Cook and Councillor Bell for the input that they're making on our behalf, and must recognise the difficulties they're up against doing that job on our behalf. We must work together to bring the necessary pressure to bear to solve this problem.
I just hope to agree with Councillor Watson in particular.
Mr. Watson.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Watson. Watson has it, yes. Sorry, John. When he talks about the ambulances being stuck outside A&E, from what I understand, that was the problem with the Irish door. The ambulance that we were based in Barnard Castle was stuck outside A&E for quite a large amount of time, and that was why there wasn't an ambulance available.
The ambulance crew also had to make the agonising decision because my doctor was on the emergency list, So if there's a 999 call goes through to them, they have to drop everything. So that ambulance crew were on the way to a call in Willington when they got to drop everything and come to us order. So that ambulance crew had to make the agonising decision what to do. Do we carry on or do we go back? So they've come back to us. And you could see it on those ambulance drivers' faces and the paramedics. You could see the strain and frustration on the face. They couldn't help but apologise for us. So the strains on the crews as well. So it's an issue that needs addressing as soon as possible.
Can I just respond to that and just to give you a bit more information? On average, there are about 6 ambulances that stay outside A&E. Normally, it should be 20 minutes handover to the patient to the hospital, and the ambulance is free to go back onto the call network. If you take the average at the moment, it's working out at 6 per hospital, so it's 18 ambulances being held up for 3 hours upwards at the hospitals. That's 18 ambulances out of the call network. Right? So you can see where the shortage is, and all I can do is sympathise, but we are addressing it. We're trying to put pressure onto the hospital managers to get beds sorted out. We can't use the ambulance as a standby bed when that ambulance is needed for a life-saving exercise for others. The point is being addressed, and as Councillor Bell says, we're not just sitting on and watching it, we're actively doing something about it.
I'd just like to say that my criticisms haven't been on the monitoring board, it's been with the system.
Chair, I like this to the agenda for the future meeting, really, because that many of us know that much about it. I mean, I was in the same position recently when I remember my family who lived on the road was taken away in an ambulance. One of the neighbours let us know. And we rang, no hospitals, anything about it. Rang the ambulance station. Yes, we took it to the direct hospital. Rang the ambulance. No, he's not here. It was still there, the ambulance outside. So it was their responsibility, but I would like to say we can look at it for the time, as we are already getting our company.
I'd just like to acknowledge that I've got no criticism of Tony Cook or the monitoring board either. Tony's been doing a grand job with my daughter's case at the moment, and John as well.
Thank you for that. Councillor Bell.
Thanks, Mayor. We're not going to fix the health service tonight, but it does occur to me in terms of your public meeting. We started off by talking in terms of a fairly narrow point about double crew paramedics. It might be worthwhile considering in your request for a public meeting, a separate public meeting to discuss, the ambulance service generally and the response times and all the rest of it. Because if you ask a narrow question, you'll get a narrow answer. And John Watson is actually quite right. You can't disengage, unfortunately, any component of the NHS. The hospitals are gummed up because too many people are going to A&E, because they aren't going to the GPs, etc., etc. And it's a domino effect right the way through the line. So, I think if you have more general concerns about ambulance response times and availability rather than crewing, that needs to go into your request for a public meeting, and you may get a different response by saying that. That's just a suggestion.
Just my last one, can I come back to Councillor Deacon's request? The reason why Teesdale has 2 paramedics per vehicle is because the Dales do not have the services provision that are in the urban areas, i.e. acute centres, on-call doctors, right, rapid response. We've only got rapid response for 12 hours of the day, not 24, right? So it's down to the fact that 2 paramedics are needed, one to back the other up, right, on medical and clinician needs. I think that's right. Yeah. Right? So that's why we need 2 as opposed to just 1.
On the night my daughter was taken to hospital, there was only the driver and 1 paramedic in that ambulance. Is that right?
That wasn't Teesdale, but it's Teesdale that has that.
Oh, right, sorry, I'm sorry,
It's because of the contract that we have, it's only Teesdale and we're there that has that.
I apologise. The ambulance came in.
Anybody else got any you would like to touch up? Right, so close the town meeting.